Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films, live here on a Thursday night, getting ready for Ravens, Raiders, Ravens home opener here for the 2024 season. Coming off that loss to Kansas City, Raiders losing to the old Ravens in LA Chargers. Two straight road games, by the way, for the Raiders to start the season. Although that game in LA area kind of looked like a home game for the Raiders.
Yeah, it did. It always is out there. That stadium they can never fill it. They always get it half and half. It's always fun though. I like it. I kind of like it. A little neutral environment.
I mean, as long as it's not our stadium, I like it. You know what I mean?
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know about that, but appreciate people for tuning in. Don't expect the live viewership to pick up for a while because uneven schedule right now. Scheduling issues are just, we got a lot going on, but we're still going to try to make it week after week to preview these matchups. Appreciate my buddy Cup. That is, you can call him Cup. You appreciate Cup for checking in. Let's go from Cup it. Uh, Look, a lot to get to. Got the matchups coming up is the main thing, but there are a couple of hot topic issues, just general Raven stuff that I wanted to get your take on, Yuri. Um, First of all, Van Noy, uh, orbital bone injury. For you guys that don't know, that's your eye. It's pretty serious. We saw like Orioles fans saw James McCann get hit in the eye/nose, continue the game. He's playing baseball through it, but if you're a defensive end slash outside linebacker and you got some cracks or whatever it might be in that bone, this could be a long-term injury, Yuri. I'm kind of surprised too, just to throw it to you on this, that he hasn't been placed on IR yet, which is, I can only take as a good sign.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as I heard that, I feel like anything, eye cracking, skull cracking type of injuries, I'm like, oh, okay, like those people immediately go to the IR. They're done for at least a very significant amount of time. But the fact that he was on the injury list this week and not placed on IR, I agree, Jason. It's very curious if he's going to show out there and maybe come back here in like a week or two. If it's like maybe a lesser part of the injury, but I'd be surprised. I'm surprised. I'm surprised he wasn't put immediately on IR.
Yeah, a lot of people are talking about the injury, but the first thing that stuck out to me, like if it's a bruise or a contusion or something like that, you understand. But when, like you said, when you hear orbital bone, I mean, that's nasty, man. It only means one thing. There's some damage in your eye or around your nose. Football is a different sport, than baseball. It's a little more physical, team oriented. You get hit, like he's something you got to be very, very careful of. Van Noy, critical, by the way, of the chief staff and their handling of it, which I thought was interesting. I've heard through the grapevine that the Chiefs visitor facilities is much like New England, where it's like kind of a I don't know, just say dungeons, first word that comes to mind. Or, I kind of like that aspect of sports, not giving the visitors like the red carpet rollout. It's kind of old school, but found that interesting as well. On this note, David Ajabo looked good in his action on Thursday, last Thursday. I'm guessing that this is going to mean an uptick for him. Adisa Isaac is limited practicing, but I mean, he hasn't played barely played in the preseason. I think only one game. Really hasn't practiced with the team, so it's a lot is going to lie on David Ajabo and Tavius Robinson out there on the edge.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're gonna have to rely on the young guys. We always knew that going into the season, that those young guys have to make a big leap. But now, even more so with the Van Noy injury, um, yeah, they're gonna have to rely on them. To your point, Ojabo, I thought he played great, and those in some of those snaps he had against Sumataya. I thought he certainly showed his athletic ability to dominate a tackle, and of course, rookie tackle, someone that we both think is like don't slide on the left tackle because we have concerns about pass pro right away. And those showed. We talked about it on the show before the game. Like we want to attack that area. Um, Adisa Isaac as well. To your point, has not played any preseason, and he's very. I'm surprised he wasn't placed on IR or short term IR or one of the pup lists or something that they do to manipulate him. I was surprised that didn't happen. Then Datavius Robinson, who in my mind right now is in that like Pernell McPhee type role, run stopper, kick the teeth in the run game, and then not much of a pass rusher, but all with the opportunity to get some snaps in. And hey, go make a name for yourself and go out there and continue to play well.
I'm hoping that at practice they're giving Tavius a little bit different role and having him work on different things. We're not at practice. Maybe they already are. Okay, so I can't say it, but I would just say that to really get him to pin his ears back, get to the quarterback. You know, Pernell McPhee is a good comp. I also saw one of my loyal viewers, I don't know if it was Jeremiah or someone, commented under his highlights from last year that he reminded him of Jarrett Johnson, which would be a good comp for some of you older school Ravens fans. Look, 5-sack guy, butt kicker in the run game, gets pressure with power, not a lot to his pass rush. And that's, to me, that's a fair comp for Tavius too. But, you know, we saw with Adafio Way 1 year with Chuck Smith, and he looked like a different player, the spin move coming and a little bit more dip and that kind of thing. So I hope Tavius continues to work on his pass rush, because the way things are looking now, we're going to need him to pin his ears back and go get him. You know, the days of him maybe just being a 1st and 10 guy playing the run, you know, rushing the passer through the run, you know, we may not have that luxury anymore. We might need him on the field in 3rd and 10.
Absolutely. And you know, that's just the nature of the game. Ideally, you like to put your best personnel that are suited to the strengths that they have on the field at all times. But you know, injuries happen, and that is the card is. But hey, it's a growing experience, a learning experience for him. Be able to find his footing in some pass rush that he may not have found if Van Noy was still healthy. And not to mention, obviously, Odafe PFF really liked this game. I thought he had a pretty good game. PFF, obviously, the missed sack, I think at this point is what it is. I'm just not even going to address it anymore. But I thought he had a good game and showed some really good things that he's always been good at in the run, providing pressure and creating havoc. I mean, that really is his calling card at this point.
Yeah, you know, side note to that, PFF seems to have always liked the Adafio Way. Like, even when I thought it was just like, he was racking up pressures on PFF, and I'm like, I'm not seeing him affect the game. Like, all these pressures aren't equal. Like, the quarterback's not paying him any attention, but he technically got within 3 yards within 3.5 seconds. So I guess that's a pressure. Like, the way he rushes is very friendly to PFF, but Adafio Way in the last year in this game has really stepped up those pressures matter. Very confident in him. Another thing that gives me confidence is the ability to play Madubuike on the edge, which we've seen. He's very good at that. And in order to play Madubuike on the edge, you need somebody in Madubuike's spot, is the trickle-down effect. And Travis Jones, I thought he had a great game. He was the guy I decided to feature on defense in my cut-ups this week. All of Travis Jones snaps, just wreaking havoc. You know, talk about pressures, whether he got credit for him or not. He was in Mahomes' face and gave Mahomes something to think about all game.
Yeah, and that was to Creed Humphrey, who just got the biggest center contract in the league, and that was to Joe Thuney, who's another very, very well-paid offensive lineman. Those are 2 All-Pros, Pro Bowl, whatever accolades you want to throw out there. Both those guys have them, and you know, something that I think me and you have been on the same wavelength with Travis Jones in terms of his projection, and it's a good first game. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves. Obviously, it's a very long season, but that's a pretty good litmus test of how. I mean, the dude's so strong. Like, you think of Michael Pierce, right? Hamster ball out there, just impacting the run. Still gives you pass rush and upside and all that. But Travis Jones, like, Michael Pierce is a strong dude. Travis Jones is a really, really strong dude. I pointed out last year against Quentin Nelson, he did the same thing where he has those reps where he just dominates these really, really good guards and centers. So great to see that in the first game, and hopefully he carries it on here to a weak, very weak. I don't want to go too far ahead, but Raiders offensive line on the interior. Not sure how I feel about it.
So club move for Travis Jones, something to look for out there. That's basically just when you swat him in the shoulder with your arm. You know, just put it in layman's terms, but Travis Jones club move, something he's worked on, able to generate a ton of power. And then what he does is he knocks you to the side just a little bit and is able to run through that shoulder that he just hit. So, I mean, it's not a clean breakaway rush, but he is going to, I mean, it's impossible to take a shot like that, get your shoulder turned, and then have him run through the shoulder that he just turned, or maybe turns it to the inside is more accurate. And then to run through that shoulder is something else. So, yeah, Travis Jones, excellent player, excellent start to the season, sky high limit for him. He actually outsnapped Michael Pierce. And when we go to the starting lineups in a little while, I'll put Jones in there ahead of Pierce because He outsnapped them 33-20 in this game. He might have even been in there from the start. I think he got the start. I can't remember off the top of my head. Something that surprised a lot of us, Yuri, and something that it disappointed me for quite frankly. I'm gonna put Trenton Simpson and Nate Wiggins in both in this same category, but I want to say first about Nate Wiggins. Didn't practice this week with a neck injury, and it kind of makes sense. Yuri, I don't know if you remember early in this game, he was involved in kind of a car crash there. Short screen to the right side, and it was a big pile up, and he was involved. So maybe he didn't play as much because he was banged up, and he was banged up in the preseason.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But Trenton Simpson is the one that I'm going to go full out judgmental. That's where I'm going to go judgmental. Look, PQ played since his rookie year. He learned to deal with his lumps, and he was playing Mike linebacker. He didn't have Roquan Smith next to him to help lead the way. Trenton Simpson should be playing 100% of the snaps, in my opinion. You live with whatever mistakes, but you kept seeing KC burn us on these crossers over the middle. Malik Harrison and Malik trying to tackle in space. You saw Malik. Look, Malik's a good football player, but he's good at the line of scrimmage. There's a reason he was moved to the edge or was used in the edge more than he was at middle linebacker. His foot quickness and change of direction and coverage ability is what it is. And coming up here against the Raiders, when I watched them against the Chargers, a ton of mesh concepts, which for you guys that don't know are just short crossers. It's two guys, they mesh together, basically putting those middle linebackers in a conundrum. I really want to see Trenton Simpson out there 100% of the time. And if that's not what they're going to do, then at least up his snap counts for what it was last week. Because on a defense that's got a good defensive line, which we just outlined, and a great secondary, Roquan Smith in the middle of all that, you don't want to have a liability that opponents can attack in coverage.
Yeah, absolutely. That was very confusing. I had two snap count issues with this game. Nate Wiggins actually wasn't one of them. I would have liked to see Nate Wiggins play more. I think if you're going to draft a rookie corner, with the way the cornerbacks are kind of going, to get the most value out of their contract, I think you should play that rookie corner immediately and just let them play, let them start. Whatever happens. But especially the matchups, I felt like Wiggins probably could have matched up better and helped us a little bit better in that game. The explosive plays, Kansas City was really having their way with some of the explosive plays. But to your point, Trent Simpson not playing. I don't know why. I don't understand the thought process there. I don't understand why Malik Harrison wasn't playing towards the line of scrimmage at edge more. Why he was lined up and playing in coverage.
And Yuri, I want to interrupt you here for a second. I forgot to mention Zach Orr was asked about this in his press conference today, and I know you're involved with 100 different things where you are on location. But he basically said he was easing him into the game, so this wasn't a health issue. He said that Wiggins and Malik Harrison will play more as the season goes along. So another slow play of the rookies. Take it away, Yuri.
Yeah, no, and I mean that makes sense. I understand, but he's not like Trent Simpson. The time to ease him in was last year, where he had all that time to learn and then play the last game of the season, and then all of the offseason, healthy practice. I mean, every situation, he's practiced. So I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I think Malik Harrison should have been at the edge, and Trent Simpson should have played a lot more at linebacker, because as we saw, he jumped at least 35 inches in the air to get to tip that ball with Mahomes. He's a great athlete, and athletes in space at linebacker are really they're good for your defense. They're really great for your defense. So would have liked to see him play more, to your point. The only other thing I'll add in there that bothered me was Kyle Hamilton slot snap percentage was the lowest I think since week something last year. It was in the middle of the. I remember looking at it briefly, and I was like, I think to get the best out of Colin Hamilton, you put him towards the line of scrimmage. I think we've both seen that throughout film, and for him to not play as much as he did last year in the slot, I thought that was a misuse of him. I understand we want growth out of him. We want him not just to be that slot star defender, but he's really good at it. He got an All-Pro at it. And if we want to play the growth game, I don't know if Kansas City was the opponent to start doing some experiments at.
Yeah, must win type game. Not must win, of course, but important game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be watching for that this week too, because last time the Ravens saw Gardner Minshew, Kyle Hamilton 3 sacks in the first half versus Indianapolis. So, Gardner just didn't see Kyle coming. I mean, 3 times. So if that's a weak spot for Gardner, I would like to have Kyle, disguising it just like he did last year and taking some shots. But it was a weird mix at corner. We didn't talk about this before the show. I didn't know you were going to bring that up, but that's a great point. Jalen Armour-Davis got some snaps. Nate Wiggins got some snaps. Ardarius looked dominant in the 9 snaps that he had, but there was a lack of rhythm in the personnel in the secondary. Got a lot of guys involved. Eddie Jackson was obviously involved as that third safety, which is great. But you wonder if that had something to do with the communication issues. You know what I mean? People shuffling in and out. I mean, Kyle took responsibility for it. I thought it was pretty clear on tape that it was Kyle's responsibility. But you never want to call those things out publicly because we don't know. But Kyle was standing next to Roquan basically on that play. Maybe it was Trenton Simpson or Malik, but there was basically 2 guys playing that spot. And so you kind of figured with the way Marlon just passed it off, checked the guy and passed it off, that was supposed to be Kyle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Cover 2 back there. So that's before we get to the matchups, I have one more thing for you, Yuri. And if there's anything else after that, you let me know. But a lot of talk this week about Lamar's workload. Now, I will say that, again, a game like the Chiefs, you're trying to win, all bets are off, all's off the table. Lamar's not going to have to carry that kind of workload for most of the games this season. Derrick Henry's going to get more carries, more snaps than Justice Hill in most games of the season. We're not chasing points like we were. Wasn't a lot of points to chase, but we were still chasing points. We had 2 2-minute drills at the end of each at the half and the end of the game. So that contributed some to the scrambling too. Not worried about Lamar's workload. What I'm more worried about is that in games like that, is that the only way we can come back and win and score is if Lamar goes superhero mode. So it's not as like, I'm not scared of Lamar getting beat up throughout the season or anything like that or getting injured. I'm more afraid that the offense has to function that way too often, more than we would like to. We wouldn't want it like that at all. You want help from everybody. So that's my main concern. If you would like to speak on Lamar's workload and maybe address my point.
Yeah, I'm locked up there with you, to be honest. In terms of Lamar's workload, I don't think we'll see that again. Hopefully not. Is that sustainable? No, it's not. Lamar carrying the ball 16 times and running for 100. Lamar being the leading carrier on the team again is just I don't think that's sustainable. Why would you bring in Derrick Henry if you're gonna do that? I was gonna go on the whole like, why'd you do this? Why'd you do that? And we'll get all upset. And I'm like, well, you're gonna sign Derrick Henry. Why don't you? If you're signing Derrick Henry, but then make Lamar the leading rusher again, why not just sign an offensive lineman? It's getting a whole rabbit hole. So I won't go that way. I won't, even though after that game I kind of felt like doing it. But what me and at least Voss have been preaching for a while about the Ravens is that we get into these situations where we have to chase points, right? And we're down 10, and of course it's always the Kansas City. At least to my memory, I don't think the Ravens have had to chase points against other teams outside of like this year and last year. Those times in 2022 and 2021 where we all chased the points. But I'm trying to think.
Yeah, we gave up late leads, Yuri. Like we've been ahead in those games that you're talking about right there.
So I don't remember the last time we chased the 2 times I can remember, the 2 last games we played where we had to chase points, we're down 10. And we keep going into these situations. And I hope that this year there is some sort of development among the offensive line where they can pass protect with 5. And Lamar and Bateman can get on the same wavelength of chemistry. Because if not, we're looking at the Lamar Super Saiyan having to go out there and basically punch his way to back in the game. And he did. I mean, hey, he did. We were a toe away from at least going to overtime. And that does speak to the how hard it is to beat Kansas City. He had to do all that just to have a chance in overtime to see what happens. So
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
want to give Spagnuolo his credit as a defensive coordinator. Maybe in other teams we're chasing points. Lamar doesn't have to scramble that much. More guys are open. Spags is a good defensive coordinator, so all hats off to him. But that's my worry. You get down again to Kansas City in the playoffs, and if Lamar is not Superman, then we're not going to win that game if we fall behind. So yeah, workload. Lamar will be fine. Lamar is a big boy. He can handle himself. Never worried about him getting injured. I think he would like hearing me say that because I think he gets annoyed with those questions. But Lamar's built, bro. He's pliable. He's smart with his body. He gave a little shot the other day, which was nice to see. But yeah, I'm not worried about the workload. I'm worried about the offense's, ability to function without Lamar going haywire when we need to score. So, our guy Simply checking in. Love the beard. Thanks, Simply. A little more white in there than I would like, but still kicking. Not bad for a 48-year-old. And Yuri Stash getting some love, not only from Simply, but also from Mr. Polianis. Yuri would look better in a Fu Manchu. Yuri, were you able? No, you probably weren't even able to grow facial hair when Flacco had the Fu Manchu for the playoff run.
I was 10, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, but you're big. You never know, never know. So that's all I have as far as like Ravens news before we get to the matchups. Anything else popped in your mind? Something you've seen on Twitter? Something you saw from the press conferences? Anything other Ravens related? Or are you ready to move on
Against Kansas City?
Or just in general, going forward with the team? Anything?
Tez Walker inactive. The way that game went. Hey, you needed to chase points, having a deep threat out there. Now, obviously, he's injured. There's something going on that I'm not privy to. So I hope he gets healthy. I hope sometime at some point in the season we at least see him out there just doing something. But
my gut feeling on that, Yuri, is he will be, and he will be asked to run the seam, just like Duvernay has been in the past. And what I'll be looking for is he just a decoy, or does Lamar trust him enough to lay that ball up? Because with Tez Walker, we'll get in the lineup once he gets healthy, once he starts practicing regularly. And that's what he was brought here for, is the deep threat. And I specifically think, with opening up those over routes for Zay, or those in-breaking, those dig routes for Zay and Bateman, I think that he'll be an over-the-top option. There was just times when Duvernay would run that, and he would have a little space, and Lamar would fire. Most of the time, he would he wouldn't throw it to Duvernay. But the few times that he did, Duvernay not adjusting to the ball, yada, yada, yada. So I want to see if Tez can make his, Devontae Walker can make his mark there. What else, Yuri?
Absolutely. Talks about OA. I think that's it. I think we're good. Go on the matchups.
So look, major shout out as we get into this, adding it to the stage. I don't know if you can notice anything special here, Yuri, but celebratory here. It's more of a thank you to everybody out there. 1 million views. 1 million views. My channel hit. Somebody notified me, and I went and I checked, and sure enough, it was over 1 million views. I don't have the most active YouTube account. Was not even 600 videos in 4 years. So it's not like I'm going on there every day. I go on there a few times a week. And, I do this, as Yuri, it's not a business. It's for fun. It's to help educate the fans with the film, but also just to interact and have fun. So something I started, truly for fun. I want to thank my friends, Chuck, and I want to thank my friends, Eric, everybody else, Berger, those guys that supported me and convinced me to come on. And then also people like yourself, Ken McCusick, Saul Simply, and Alec in here. It's just so many people. Like, I almost sent out a tweet, but if I do that, I'm gonna miss people. Sarah Ellison and Bobby, like, so many people have supported me, but this was my chance just to say thank you. I figure I'd just bring it up in the live stream. Anybody said 1 million views, bro. That's humbling, actually.
Hey, little round of applause. Little round of applause. Hey, congratulations. Glad that I was a small part in contributing towards that. You're the man, Jason. This is the film. We run this shit.
Yeah, I see my buddy Jim in here, Mr. Katz. Thanks, man. Another person that I've gotten to meet through being on Twitter and YouTube, man. So Yeah, it's just cool, man. I've met a lot of nice people. A couple of not nice people, but a lot of nice people, bro. Not nice people. So let's get into this matchup. That's enough self praise there. It really the praise goes to the people who watch that content, and I just love it. I'm looking at the Ravens offense versus the Raiders defense. Added some highlights in here, Yuri. Hope you like
Oh, here we
that.
go.
Next time, I'm going to get your opinion on some of these highlights. Try to get you ahead of time. 12 personnel. Look, Isaiah Likely outsnapped Nelson Aguilar 53-30, so almost twice as many snaps. Andrews 59 snaps, Likely 53 snaps in an 80 snap game for that offense. Man, Kansas City's defense was wore out by the end. That's why I like the decision to go for 2, by the way. So have Andrews and Likely in this starting lineup because this is the personnel you saw most often, aside from Derrick Henry being out of the game more than we'd like. A lot of places to go. I'm going to let you go first here, Yuri. Go ahead, buddy.
So, I think until proven otherwise, the Daniel Falele matchup with just about any defensive tackle is going to at least have my look, especially one that's really good, like Christian Wilkins, who just got paid a lot of money, come over here. That's a big matchup. I don't know if we want to go matchup specific one-on-one, but Wilkins, very, very powerful defensive tackle. Also a really good athlete as well. I think that he got paid a lot of money for a big reason. And that is the first one that is garnering my attention there.
Building off of that, he was the guy that really wrecked that game and kept it close. That Chargers offensive line is not the strongest. I think he went against Trey Pipkins most of the time at their right guard spot, but Falele still trying to find his footing. I've expressed my opinions on Daniel, plenty of times, but it's going to be a tough matchup for anybody, especially for Falele handling that guy in the pass rush. Falele has been pretty good with his pass protection, but Christian Wilkins also a really strong run defender. So the Ravens are going to have to find a way to run the ball in this game because you got Wilkins, you got Max Crosby, obviously an excellent pass rusher, excellent run defender over there too. But this is a game where you don't want Lamar pressured a lot. The Raiders are missing 2 edge rushers. So you see Snowden in there on the other side. Their starter, Malcolm Kuntz, very underrated player. He's injured. I think maybe out for the year. But then their rookie from last year, Tyree Wilson, I think he was picked like 8th overall or something like that. He is also not practicing again. Looked like he got hurt in the game, only played like a handful of snaps last week. That being said, though, Yuri, Wilkins, Crosby, monsters on the pass rush on the right side that's going to make some mistakes. And right tackle play last week was not very good, especially Roger Rosengarten as well. So that's the scary matchup for me on the Ravens. That's why Wilkins and Crosby are highlighted.
Yeah, and now if I remember this correctly, last year, I think Ben Cleveland played the Miami game, and he played against Wilkins. And I think Ben Cleveland had Wilkins' number that day, if I'm not mistaken. If I remember correctly, if I remember the film and being at the game correctly. So I know Falele is going to start this game more than likely, but if things get out of hand, I do. Hopefully they remember that. Hopefully the coaching staff remembers that. That's all. I had a little nugget. I remember.
He did play the last 2 games, and the highlights from those 2 games are off the charts. They're on the channel. Somebody actually posted them to Twitter and tagged me in it under Sarah Ellison's tweet. So they got some more views. But yeah, you want to see Ben Cleveland, his start. I mean, it was only 2 games, basically, some garbage time in some other games, but it was Miami and Pittsburgh the last 2 games of the year. And, the man had like a 2.5, 3 minute highlight tape of just 10-second plays. So that just goes to show you how many positive reps, knocking people off their feet. You got to see his mirror. Ben Cleveland has quick feet for his size. Quick feet overall, okay. I'm not going to say that, but his mirror and his feet for his size, great in pass protection, his recognition, I thought. So yeah, we'll see. That's a good part. Now, brought up Snowden. Something I find interesting is their linebackers. Yuri. Now, Robert Spillane is somebody that we know well, the former Pittsburgh Steeler. He's really good in coverage, struggles against the run. He's a little bit undersized guy. But Divine Diablo This is his 4th year now for the Raiders. Yep, go ahead and do what you got to do. But Devon Diablo, a converted safety, I believe he played for Virginia Tech. His pass coverage has been noticeably poor. And of course, as a converted safety, he's undersized as well. So the Raiders' defensive front is very stout, is very strong. But we saw last week, J.K. Dobbins went 10 carries, 135 yards, pretty much sealed the game for them. He would have had more if his, if his knees hadn't been through hell. But the second level of that Raiders defense is very susceptible. A lot of missed tackles for Spillane, Diablo, a lot of coverage breakdowns for Divine Diablo. So if you want to run Zay Flowers, drag him in his area, or Isaiah Likely, they have some soft spots there. But yeah, the defensive front, Yuri, for Las Vegas is a very good front. That second level with the linebackers can be had. Spillane and Diablo both in the run, but Diablo in the pass for a converted safety just doesn't look very good. Did I filibuster enough?
Yeah, you did. Yeah, sorry, they're shooting something off over here, but yeah. So Diablo, I like Diablo a lot. I definitely like his ability. Another athlete in space, sneaky good coverage matchup player. I don't know if you it was pretty loud, but I don't know if you hit the Diablo and Likely matchup.
No, I was just saying that Diablo has incredibly underwhelmed for what I thought of him as a coverage player. Like, they took advantage of him last week. And then when you listen to, my Raiders guy that I listen to, like, they're really, really low on Diablo, like can't cover, which is shocking for, a former safety. I think he played for Virginia Tech safety. So yeah, man. And Jeremiah bring it up. Yeah, JK looked great. I was very happy for him. I'm just saying, he still got the vision, still got the cuts. J-Dub, he's still got the contact balance, just the feel for the running game that goes back to vision. But yeah, watching him run at full speed, J-Dub kind of makes you sad and makes you think of the what if, because he's still carrying a piano on his back. I feel so bad for the man, just gutsy. But yeah, Spillane and Diablo. Look, hey man, good luck for those two undersized guys. If Henry can get past that first level, which is very stout for the Raiders, that's an area that the Ravens can exploit.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was going to say that Diablo was in my opinion, a good run defender. But to your point, also a bad coverage player. I was going to circle back to it eventually.
Okay. Yeah.
And I thought that Likely and Andrews could have their way. I mean, those are, to your point, two undersized linebackers. You add in our two big physical tight ends. The Ravens really, this is like, it's just as a whole, not even in matchups, like looking across the whole field and lineup. Now, outside of Wilkins and Crosby, who do have the chance to completely wreck the game and wreck whatever the Ravens' game plan is, the Ravens should hang like 35 on them. You know what I mean? Like, looking out there, their secondary, and their linebackers, do they really have any? Jack Jones is a good player. I liked Bennett coming out. I won't say that they aren't. I'm not saying they're trash, terrible, or anything like that. But the Ravens really do have a significant talent advantage here.
Yeah.
And then
Jack Jones, Jacorian Bennett. I would say you're high and low, up and down. Some very, very good splash plays, but they can also both be had. Bennett, I remember watching him when he came out, just habitually grabby and jumpy. And Jones is the same thing. Jones is, for Ravens fans out there, a Marcus Peters style, a gambler type at cornerback. So they can both be had. And the thing is with the Raiders, this is a good transition. Nate Hobbs in that slot. I don't know what they're going to do with him. Now, he's a slot guy. That's where he likes to play. The Ravens obviously will play Zay Flowers in the slot a lot. So I expect, even though it doesn't show it here on the sheet, the Hobbs to be matched up with Flowers a lot. Asking Nate Hobbs to cover tight ends, they might be a little big for them. So I struggled with exactly how to align this tonight, Yuri. Some teams are easier than others. Like the Bengals, you always knew it was Chase Higgins and Boyd, and that's where they were going to be.
Yeah.
This team on defense, who knows? Like Nate Hobbs isn't the biggest guy, but he is their best cover corner. Somebody who should get Pro Bowl consideration year after year if slot cornerbacks were a voted on group.
Yeah, You know what? We're going to take that to the NFL league meeting this year. Make slot corners a voted on group. The Nate Hobbs of the worlds, the Ardarius Washingtons of the worlds. Trying to think, who was the one slot corner for the Bears that was good for like a very long time?
I know you're thinking about too. I hope somebody puts it in the comments.
I hope so.
Yeah, the Bears slot corner was really good. I mean, we've seen it here with Tavon was good when he was on the field. And of course, Corey Graham, Super Bowl hero, Mile High Miracle hero, not in the Super Bowl, but on that run.
It wasn't Kyle Fuller, was it? It was
no, that's not who I'm thinking about at least. But yeah, there's been some really good slot corners. Denver had a good one too, whose name's escaping me.
Bryce Callahan. Bryce Callahan is the Denver one.
Yeah, when they had the no fly zone with Aqib Talib and what's his name over there. But yeah, it's a very funny. Slot corners aren't up. Hey, that takes me to the safety group. Epps and Trevor Moehrig, two very good safeties. Now I thought Moehrig was like going to be the free safety, 90% of the time. Of course, NFL teams are going to switch it up. But when I watched the tape against LA, Epps was in the back. And Moehrig was basically in the box most of the time. I think that both of those safeties are balanced, smart, but not tremendously athletic. Not a lot to fear as far as like picking the ball off, jumping routes, that kind of thing. I feel like Likely is prime for another big day here.
Yeah, I'm with you there. The safeties plus the linebacker matchup. Isaiah Likely is a better athlete than all of them. So this could be a game where you see Lamar maybe be a little more aggressive with throwing the ball to Likely. And I mean, he did do it last game. That ball up to Likely with the touchdown was almost a toss up. So, let the athlete work in space and outbox these guys. So I do look forward to that. And then to your point, Moehrig, always liked him. I always had a higher opinion of him. But he does seem to I don't know, to my knowledge, I thought he was a free safety for like the longest time.
Right. And I expected him to be playing there. And when I turned on the tape, he was in the box and Epps was for most of the game. Like it wasn't just a fluke. So, I took a picture of their personnel and everything. I'm like, this is kind of weird. Flowers, I have him highlighted because I think that Jack Jones can be beat on some double moves. I'm also looking at Flowers on these drag routes, these crosser routes, trying to exploit Divine Diablo at middle linebacker. So I was a little disappointed at like the depth of target for Flowers targets. I want to see Flowers targeted. I know he had one deep shot, but I want to see Flowers in the middle of the field. I want to see him in that intermediate area and downfield, and not just a bunch of bubble screens and quick hitters. But I think this could be a big game for Zay Flowers. He's the guy I'm going to pick out as like if there's somebody with a 100-yard game. Obviously, you're probably going to bet on Zay most of the time. But in this game, I think Zay reaches that 80 yards, 100-yard mark easily against Jack Jones, who is a good player, bounced around a little bit for different reasons. But I think Flowers is going to get him at least once, Yuri.
Yeah, and to your point about the checkdowns, they did it last year in the first week of the first game of the year where they kind of just did all the slants and the little bubble screens and flats and all that stuff. But I think that's limiting Zay Flowers' role and his ability. They should push the ball. Now, obviously, the offensive line has to hold up, but they should push the ball downfield more this game with him, and with Bateman and with kind of everybody else. I feel like that last game, they have to figure out what this offensive line is. They can't make their way deep into the season not knowing if the offensive line can hold up or not. So they're eventually going to have to start pushing the ball downfield. And to your point, Zay Flowers, he's got to get more involved down there.
Bateman, excellent adjustment, big catch to put the Ravens in position to win that Kansas City game. I'm just going to throw it to you on this again, right back at you. Jeremiah, they should feed Bateman too, in his opinion. I would like to see it. I would just want to get Yuri's opinion on what's going on with Rashad Bateman. Here we go. First game of the year looked a lot like last year, his involvement.
Yeah, it did. It definitely did. And Bateman, I I came out of the game more positive. Honestly, like, so the route pacing thing is still there with me. He's still not the route pacing. I still have a problem with.
Talk about that. Explain it a little bit.
So on the post route that Lamar did overthrow, Bateman's releases are great. Bateman can beat whoever you want off the line. It seems like that's no problem. He's beaten L'Jarius Sneed. He's beaten whatever corner you want to name. He's beaten Sauce Gardner. He's beaten everybody. But once he gets to the apex of, okay, now it's time to split. Now it's time to go to the post. Now it's time to come for the comeback. Now it's time to hitch for the curl. Not necessarily curl. Take that one out. But ins, crossers, slants, all that stuff, right? For some reason, the route pacing, like, he's not looking back for the ball quickly. He's not getting quote unquote friendly to the quarterback, which means either he's working back towards the ball, back towards the quarterback, or he's looking for the ball being active downfield. And then a lot of the times it doesn't feel like he's running as fast as he is in some of the routes. Now, last year I knew to the week one, it was because he was hurt. So I'm like, okay, like he's not full speed. He's still maybe a little banged up. But now this year he's at a full healthy offseason. To my knowledge, I don't think he missed anything. Of course, I was under a rock for those times of the practices and stuff, so I'm not sure. But I still do have an issue with the route pacing. But he was open. There was definitely a time on the little hitch he had to the right. I was trying to think. It was around like the 50-yard line. He was open. Lamar should have hit him. But we're still and there was a very great article put out today on, I think, Baltimore Banner, Baltimore Sports, one of the two, about the conversation around Rashad Bateman. Do they need to feed him? Yes, he needs to get more targets. You saw that catch. I mean, that was by the fingers. That was by the fingertips. That was a great catch. Great focus. And another thing, focus drops. I mean, you have to have a lot of focus. You have to have a lot of focus to catch that football. That was great, right? They need to get him more involved in the middle of the field and crossers and slants. I think that is the area.
Okay, and this is where I want to jump in, because it just seems like that backside, him working X, they're always like, you see where Bateman is on the screen by himself over there on the left. It seems like the action is always going to the right first. Lamar's first and second read is some combination of Flowers and either Andrews or Likely over there. And then, Bateman will win really quickly. But he's not the first or second read. And then Lamar either doesn't have time for him, or as Jeremiah said, Lamar looks his way too late, too often. Like, we have got to get him more involved. And my guy, Ivor Torres, man, follower for a long time. You got your channel, man. Big respect to you. Bateman made the big play we needed for him. He was open. Lamar didn't throw him to him until late the game. And you're not even a big Bateman fan. I mean, I get it. Like, we need to script more plays for Bateman is what I'm getting at. And this was something I was disappointed in this game. I was hoping that it would change from last year, where we just, the first read is a slant to Bateman. And then, Flowers and Andrews and Likely, they're great off script. So why not script it for Bateman? And if he's covered, that's one read. You can quickly go to the other side of the field with Flowers, Andrews, Likely. If they had to freelance to get open, they could. Like, we need to run the offense the other way a little bit more, to me. Instead of going to the strong side first and reading that and coming back to Bateman, let's use Bateman to a strength, make him the first read. If it's not there, or if he's getting covered or having a bad day, we can change it. But these 2, 3 targets, 4 targets a game, to me, is not cutting. It's not using Bateman to his strengths. Lamar can throw one time. I've seen it game and game again. It's just, that's not the way the offense is designed. We've seen Lamar in rhythm, late in games, quick hitters, sidearm throws around the lineman. He can do that. So I don't want to hear that excuse that Lamar can't throw in rhythm. Yes, he can. So anyway, frustrated about Bateman and his usage. And, I just think that this game that passed was just so similar to what had happened last year and years before. So a little bit disappointed in that, buddy.
Yeah. I'm lockstep there with you. absolutely. And I'm usually not. Usually I'm not, but
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I want to switch it over to the other side of the ball. Actually, no, I do not. I want to talk about Derrick Henry first. Almost forgot. This should be a big game for for Derrick Henry and the Ravens. I'm hoping that I think Harbaugh put his foot in his mouth a little bit when he said we didn't bring Derrick Henry in here to run 30 times. Technically, that's true. You're not going to run him 30 times, but we need to keep Derrick Henry involved in every game. Get him the ball at least once every drive. If you get a first down, get him the ball at least twice every drive. Once every 3 plays, Derrick Henry should be a threat to take it, whether Lamar keeps it or not. Big game for Derrick Henry. The problem is going to be Voorhees and Faalele and McCary winning at the line of scrimmage to give Derrick Henry space to get to Spillane and Diablo. And once he gets in that secondary for a Raiders team that missed a bunch of tackles versus the Chargers, it could spell big trouble for them. The more carries Derrick Henry has, the better the Ravens are doing in the game, and I think that's going to be true all season.
Yeah, this is a big zone left game. I think all season is probably going to be zone left. Derrick Henry's best rush per attempt and EPA and all that stuff. Ravens' offensive probably EPA will be the best zone left. We have our best athletes, and that's how unfortunately.
Yeah, and zone right hasn't been very kind to Faalele. So yeah, zone left, I can see that. You got Ronnie out in front. You got McCary very agile to be able to seal off that backside. Rosengarten did a really nice job of that in the preseason, by the way, sealing off the backside on zone left run. So yeah, I like that. But man, give me a percentage here. What percentage would you have of Henry going over that magic 100-yard mark?
Confidence percentage?
There's a 50-50 chance that he reaches 100 yards. What's your...
Oh, this game?
Yeah, this game.
I'll go 85. I'm feeling bold. I mean, even though the Wilkins and Crosby can absolutely decimate the game, especially with the matchup advantage they have. Hopefully the Ravens realize that they have an offensive lineman who's already won that matchup on the bench, and then in the second half they put Cleveland in after they realized the Faalele experiments had its run.
Funny. Taurus just brings it up. Yeah, Taurus, I don't know if you were here earlier, but on the channel, we were talking about, Yuri brought it up, that Cleveland actually faced Christian Wilkins last year, second to last game of the season. And, when I did my Ben Cleveland highlights at the end of last season, if you want to look up Ben Cleveland's highlights on the channel, watch him work against Christian Wilkins and then against the Steelers front in that last game. And you'll see why people like me, Yuri, most of the Ravens flock, probably you too, Taurus, are waiting for Cleveland to get in there.
Yeah. You got to put him in. You got to put him in eventually. Eventually, you just got to look, I get it. Ben Cleveland's like the Michael Jordan of guards. Not Michael Jordan. Sorry. That was bad. Let me rephrase that. Ben Cleveland is like the Marcus Peters of guards. He doesn't practice. But when it's time to go out there and play, he plays.
That's Allen Iverson.
There you go. I was thinking that was the other one I was.
Yeah, he's the picture in the dictionary or something.
I wasn't North Carolina Tar Heel on live air. That's not happening.
You know what, J-Dub, I don't, this is all hearsay, but this is fun to do. This is just my personal thoughts. I don't think he gets worked in practice. I think it's more of fall asleep to meetings, last guy in the building, first guy to leave type stuff. That's what I would guess, because we saw, what's his face from the Eagles? Oh, geez, it was first round pick last year. Yuri, helped me out. Loved it. Carter? We saw Jalen Carter dominate versus Green Bay in that game. Bro, in the preseason, Cleveland got thrown into center last minute. He had Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis across from him, and you didn't hear a peep out of Ben Cleveland. He just blocked those guys all game. I have a feeling that he's fine in practice. That's why I say J-Dub. That's why I say that, J-Dub. I think it's more it's other than game film, yeah, but I think it has to do with
there's some politics to it. There's some politics.
Definitely some politics. So let's move on before we get upset and say something that we probably shouldn't say. All right, other side of the ball. Now, I have the Raiders here in 12 personnel as well. They will run a lot of 11 with Trey Tucker on the field, speedster, rookie, or maybe a second year. But I'm putting them in 12 personnel here as too, Yuri, because they have Brock Bowers, obviously, who showed out in his NFL debut. And they also have Michael Mayer, who was a early second-round pick last year. So they have two good tight ends as well. Maybe they can approach as good as the Ravens standard. Like these guys are both very, very talented. You also have Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers as the main weapons in the pass game. Yuri, take it away. First impressions. You see who I have highlighted on both sides. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you see this graphic?
The first, honestly, it's Ojabo. It is Ojabo. Him on Munford. I mean, Ojabo's a way better athlete, and like last game, he uses his athleticism to win most of the time. He's not now yet. He has gotten better at power from what I saw at Michigan. He has developed a better long arm and using power and using that to set up. But Ojabo can and hopefully will continue his streak of a sack in every game. I think that's a streak, right?
I think he technically missed one because he got hurt, but like he's played a game in 3 seasons and he's got a sack at like each of his first appearances every year he's been in there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Miller, the Colton Miller, that's an underrated left tackle in the league. He's been doing it at a very good level for a pretty good amount of time. So, will be interesting to see how Ojabo matches up between those two. Did they put Ojabo at right defensive end? Did they put him at left defensive end? Do you know off the top of your head what he played last game? Was it just about even split with him and Oweh going back and forth?
Yeah, they switched it up, and then of course Tavius was in there and Van Noy was in there to start, and so it was a mix. It was a mix in there. I expect Oweh and Ojabo. The Ravens aren't going to stick one person in one spot all game. They're going to hunt for matchups. Matabike might be over there on Mumford as well, which would just be a total mismatch. I'm going to switch gears here and get to my guy John Parsons. John, thanks, man. Let's tackle this while John's in the chat here with us. Ravens are favored by 8.5 in our opener. I didn't expect it would be that big of a spread. The over/under is 41.5. My take, John, I actually think that spread is about right. I think that the Ravens look pretty good on Thursday night. I think it's easy for us. Like I was down on the team after the game, but 8.5, somewhere between 8 and 10 sounds right to me. Over under a 41, like I think that's given a lot of credit to the Ravens defense. I kind of would take the over, bro. Like I could see this score being 31-10 or, as a baseline type score, or maybe a 30-14 or something. I kind of favor the over. What's your thoughts on the spread and the over under?
So I think of course we always have to account for the Ravens pissing themselves at home like they did against the Colts last year, but assuming all things go well, I think 8.5 is, I would definitely take that. And then, lockstep with you, I would go over. I think the Ravens, I think it's going to be like that. Remember that Oakland game, back in like 2011 where they hung like 55 on them. Now they're not going to put up 55, but I do think the Ravens alone score a lot of points. I'm going to go like 38 is my baseline. Now I know that's being aggressive. That is really aggressive, but now the Raiders do match up with us well, like offense versus defense. Great defensive talent. We have a corner, and they have great receivers. They have great tight ends. We have good linebackers. So that's going to be a fun matchup. But the offense, our offense versus their defense, we really should be able to just do what we want.
I feel like the Ravens are going to probably have a miscommunication or a blown play. The Raiders are going to make the play. Devontae Adams gets loose.
Yeah, I think Trey Tucker is always the guy that comes to mind for me.
So if I had to guess like a final score, I would say 31 to, I don't know, 13, something like that. Is that over? Yeah, that's over by a little bit. Yeah. So okay, I would definitely hammer the Ravens, home opener and all. I think the only thing that keeps this score lower is that if Henry's having a good day, and then we just keep running the ball and run that clock out, and the possessions are short.
Yeah, and or Wilkins and Crosby kind of have their way a little bit in the run game, and we're in a slugfest of like a 2017 type game.
Oof, let's not go there. I can see it happening. I just don't even like hearing you say it there, Yuri. That's give you a Nitro, the Wonderkin slap on that.
Where's the sound effect? We need a sound
Yeah,
effect.
yeah. Hey, Travis Jones brought it up in earlier in the show. Pretty dominant performance, man. Check out the cut up on the channel against a great interior O line of Joe Thuney and Creed Humphrey and Trey Smith. Jones was moving them backwards into Mahomes' lap. Cody Whitehair, not as good of a challenge for him. Dylan Parham has had his struggles up and down at guard. Andre James, like this is night and day talent level wise as far as like the Chiefs from that guard center guard specifically. So I could have highlighted Matabike, but I feel like everybody already expects Matabike to be dominant. I highlighted Travis Jones, but to push that pocket, bro, in the middle from Colton Miller, as you said, very good left tackle, underrated, maybe the Raiders' most talented player, Colton Miller, their left tackle. Other than that, I'm not really impressed with this line. Now, of course, I don't study the Raiders diligently, but when I've seen them and what I know of these players, I feel like Jones, Matabike, Ajabo, Michael Pierce will push the pocket when he's in there, that they just can't handle our combination of speed and pass rush here.
Yeah, I know in the past that PFF has liked Andre James, the center, Parham, good athlete. So that'll be an interesting matchup with him and Matabike. But I'm with you. Travis Jones, big boy, strong. I know Andre James is not a particularly strong center.
He plays tall. I mean, he's a former tackle. Like you can get up and under Andre James, and that's what Matabike does. And I expect like what's going to have to happen is somebody's going to need help with Matabike. So taking this situation, Matabike is at 3 tech. I do the best I can with the lineman here of the spreadsheet, but Matabike is lined up where he is on the screen here. James is going to have to help Parham block Matabike, and that's going to leave a wide open lane for Jones on Cody Whitehair, who's bounced around, really hasn't established himself as a starter. It's going to be a nightmare in the middle blocking those guys. That's not even counting the tackles.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there.
So I want to go to a strength that I believe the Raiders have in this game. Obviously, Davante Adams, one of the best in the game. He had last week 6 targets, caught 5 of them for 59 yards. So it's like if I'm a Raiders fan, I'm like, why is Davante Adams only getting 6 targets in a game that we're trailing and lost? So that's a little concerning. Brock Bowers, 8 targets in his NFL debut, 6 for 58. And Davante Adams speaks for himself as why he's, highlighted here. But Brock Bowers, my main concern is that when Trenton Simpson is not in that game and Malik Harrison is, that they are going to run that mesh concept that I talked about earlier, crossing receivers and really cross Malik Harrison up and try to make him chase and tackle Brock Bowers in space. Eddie Jackson, our tackling is going to be tested with Brock Bowers, and I expect them to want to get him the ball a lot again and have him in the middle of the field where the Chiefs burned us a bunch of times with those little drag routes.
Yeah, Roquan Smith, Colin Hamilton. This is a big game for them to get back and the explosive plays like last year where they limited a lot of the explosive plays. And the team tackled very well last year as well. Need to see a step back in the right direction. Would like to see, I think Hamilton and Bowers lining up a couple of times would be really fun just for the two blue chip freak athlete, whatever you want to name. Those guys have all the college accolades. Those are. I mean, that is good football right there. So
that would be good for the channel. That would be great for the channel. And it'd be better if Kyle shuts them down. But if Kyle and Bowers are matched up, like even, I don't know, 10, 12 times, that would be a great cut up to see them one-on-one.
Absolutely.
So, hey, I expect, a good amount of Eddie Jackson in this game. And I expect Kyle to be deployed on Bowers and Eddie Jackson to be deployed on Mayer. Of course, they're going to play a lot of zone coverage, but that's the zones I expect them to be in. Now, something I want to bring up that surprised me. Gardner Minshew, who's known for taking some chances and keeping plays alive and taking some shots. I mean, Gardner Minshew is not doesn't play scared. You know what I mean? The lowest A dot in the league last week. His depth of target, so 4.5 line yards past the line of scrimmage. It was about somewhere like that. So his average throw traveled 4.5 yards past the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
Check down Merchant, last in the league, lowest A dot. So it was a lot of getting the ball to Bowers short, getting the ball to Devontae Adams short, and asking these guys to make some yak. If they do that again, maybe it's to minimize the pass rush. Maybe they didn't like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack coming at them. Maybe they don't respect their way and Ajabo in the same way. But that kind of surprised me. I kind of hope Minshew takes some chances. I know they're probably urging him to push the ball downfield because I like Marcus Williams in this matchup over the top. If I'm just looking at Marcus Williams reading the eyes of Gardner Minshew, I think that this could be a game where Williams gets his hands on a couple of them and maybe brings one down, and maybe he can return one this year.
Yeah, and we've seen last year against Minshew. Minshew definitely pushes the ball downfield against us. He had no problem doing that. That jump ball to Pittman, the touchdown on where Queen was in coverage. Yeah, so I think that it was because of Bosa, the pass rush. They didn't want to, start letting that wreck their game plan. But here, as much as we like Ojabo and Owe, there is a scenario where the Raiders can push the ball downfield. And to your point, Marcus Williams back there, who had a quiet game. I thought he played well, kept everything in front of him. Obviously the tackling, I think this just is what it is with him. But get out there, hawking one down. It's definitely in the cards for him this game.
Marcus Williams, free safety all the way. And then despite the quick throws from Minshew, he was sacked 4 times, fumbled, and threw an interception. So, his percentage was great. He completed over 75% of his passes, 278 yards, threw a touchdown. But he's throwing the ball an average of 4.5 yards past the line of scrimmage with an interception, a fumble, and 4 sacks. So, the up and down Jameis Jr., when you think of Gardner Minshew, is kind of what I think. I hope we can avenge last year, Yuri, and really hammer Gardner Minshew. We mentioned earlier, have Kyle in that slot, see if he can sack him another 3 times in one half.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, wanted to mention the Raiders drafted Jackson Powers Johnson, somebody that I thought would have fit in well with the Ravens at guard. He is hasn't played in the preseason. He's still hurt. I think he's limited practicing, but it's kind of like we saw with Adisa Isaac for the Ravens, where he just hasn't been around much. So I don't think Jackson Powers Johnson will play in this game. Maybe he surprises us and does, but that's the other thing. Alexander Madison actually outsnapped Zamir White last week. Similar story to Justice Hill and Derrick Henry. Zamir White is supposed to be their workhorse, but the Raiders fell behind. Madison got 60% of the snaps. Alexander Madison, the former Viking, is the backup to Zamir White. White, 13 carries, 44 yards. So not a lot of efficiency on the ground against the Chargers defense. I think that can be had against the run. Ravens were very good against Isaiah Pacheco last week. So I think the Ravens can shut down this run and make Minshew one-dimensional. If they do that, Yuri, there's no excuse for the Ravens not to get out in this game and try to pound the ball with Derrick Henry and really see what we have, bro.
Yeah, and as a proud Zamir White owner, I was upset. See Madison out there starting to catch the ball. I'm like, come on. Anyways, but yeah.
Me too.
Yeah, the Ravens should be able to get a positive game script here and really be able to your point, Derrick Henry, get him going. Get the Derrick Henry train going, get the King going, because he is a workhorse. You have to start feeding him more carries, running back. He's not Keaton Mitchell. You don't give him 2 carries and he takes him 70 yards. Well, he'll do it sometimes, but you know what I mean. You got to feed him.
You get him a rhythm. He's got to get in rhythm with this offensive line in real game action. And that's something that, you talk about the offensive line gelling together. Well, the running back is part of that. And we saw Derrick Henry with a nice run outside zone. The patience actually got to the edge with it. It was a thing of beauty. That's something Gus could never do. An outside zone, he just wasn't. It's just not his style of running. By the way, something else I heard from a Raiders reporter is that Zamir White is not an outside zone runner, and they want to run outside zone. So that might be a wrench in our fantasy plans there for Zamir White, and because obviously Madison has plenty of experience running the outside zone. So that's what we have on the matchups here, Yuri. Really good job, man. Thank you covering that. I thought that was an excellent job. Thank you to Taurus, to J-Dub, to Cup, to everybody that was in the stream tonight. John, really appreciate that. Got the score predictions out the way. Got the 1 million views on YouTube, man. That's pretty cool. We gave our score predictions, but final overarching thoughts, Yuri.
Ravens offensive line going to be tested, especially the right side. How well is that going to hold up in pass protection again? Can they run zone? Can they gap? Can Falele get to the second level? Can Macari go out there and work in the run game? That's a tough ask, but hey, we'll see. Those are two really good defensive linemen that we pointed out that they'll have their hands full with, and hey, pressure makes diamonds, pressure makes coal. Go out there and make a play. And then the other overarching thought I would have is the Ravens offensively, and I'm gonna keep hammering it home. We have a really big advantage talent-wise, defensive coordinator, like offensive coordinator versus defensive coordinator. This is a big. Will they get flags for nothing or not? Yeah, I mean, hey, look, it's a home game. You're supposed to get the flags for the home team. But I think this is a big Todd Monken. Let's start. You know what I mean? Let's start getting together. Let's figure out what we're fishing at, and go out there and then really show that this is a second year of an offense, not the first, not the flags, the penalties, and the dumb stuff that happened last game. Whatever, new game. Let's go out there. Let's be efficient. Let's look like a unit.
Okay, so my overarching thoughts. I'm going to outline like what I want to see in this game. I want to see early on home game now. I mean, the first game was a raucous crowd, home opener, dropping the banner, all that. We're at home. The crowd's, it's going to be quiet on offense. I want to see Lamar get us in and out of good and bad plays, get us into good plays, and work the line of scrimmage in this second quarter to help the Ravens build a lead. Second quarter, throw all that out the window because they know we're running it. We know we're running it. And I want to see us execute the run against another NFL team in the regular season under those circumstances. And I mean, if they're going for 4 yards a carry, the Ravens are up 15, 17 points in the third quarter, and it's 1st and 10, and they know we're running it, and Ricard's in the game, and we're going to run it no matter how many people are in the box. And we get 4 yards out of it. To me, that's a big W, bro. That's what I want to see. And then the next one, we get 4, and then eventually break one of those to a 20-yard gain. That's kind of what I want to see. I want to see Lamar's control, balanced offense in the first half, and in the second half, I want to see us run efficiently when they know we're running with a lead. Ravens win going away. So that's what do you think about that, buddy?
Hey, I'm with you there. I'd love to see that. Love to see it.
So with that, I want to say thank you to our football family. Love my football family. Love everybody for being there. Again, thank you for the 1 million views. That's that's a credit to you guys. It makes me feel really good. I thank all y'all for that. And with that, I will say good night. Say good night. Good night to the people, Yuri.
Good night. Have a good day. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Go Ravens.
Oh, Yuri. So why did you block Ian on Twitter, man? He said, why don't you ask Yuri why he blocked me? I didn't ask you this off camera. And he said that you're a coward. I added another word in there. Why did he block me? Because he's a coward. Keep it clean. Keep it clean.
Some people I don't mesh well with, and just some people I don't know. Some people I don't want to see their tweets. I don't think they. I'll leave it at that. Some people I don't want to see the tweets, and then leave it at that.
When they go low, Yuri goes middle. That's what I say. All right, just checking, just
Pretty
messing
much,
around
hey,
with
pretty,
you.
pretty much. That kind of is.
That's
I'm
the way
not.
to do it,
I
bro.
don't have like emotional responses. If people say crazy things all the time. Like, all right, just go around it.
So yeah, I was just trying to have some fun here at the end of the show. I love y'all. Good night.